now listening to The Bradshaw Boys, a podcast where three relatively grown men binge the iconic HBO series Sex and the City. So dust off those DVDs and grab yourself a white wine or even a Cosmopolitan and settle in. Take it away, boys.
Welcome to the Bradshaw Boys, a podcast where three guys watch their way through Sex and the City for the first time ever, mostly. I'm Cory Cavin.
My name is Jon Sieber.
I'm Kevin James Doyle.
And today we are so excited because we're so excited. We're having not only our first repeat guest ever, but one of our favorite guests ever. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome back Dan Clay, aka Carrie Dragshaw.
I'm like so excited to be back.
Oh my gosh, thank you so much for being here.
Yeah.
It's great to see you again.
And it's like when we first started it and we got you on, it was like, and now it's like we've been on this journey. You were like, we can't wait for you to watch more episodes. And now we're like, we've been on that journey.
I'm like on the edge of my seat to find out like how you guys are doing. I mean, I've been following the podcast, so I do know.
Oh my gosh.
And it's like, you're like, like such a different perspective than you normally get. So
yeah.
It like, for someone who's seen all the episodes 1,000 times, it's like fun to be like, oh, that's how like I watch this show.
Well, we did decide with season 4, like we're like, we need to have a guest every time because sometimes it would just be us three and we'd put the episode up and we were like, you never mentioned this whole plot line or any of the shoes. And we're like, we need help here.
We talked 45 minutes about Bernie Turtle Tower and not once mentioned.
That was your episode. Yes, you were Bernie Turtletop's episode.
We're still talking about him.
Continue to have like completely like I love it, but your Cosmo ratings of the guys are just like clearly like, I think you're all straight, right? Like, clearly you have never had sex with a man because you're like giving the guy who licks Charlotte's face 4 Cosmos because he like had the courage to lick her face. Like he was trying something new. And then the like hot as balls guy that works for Samantha, you're like 1 Cosmo, he wasn't good at his job.
Oh my gosh.
That is like, yeah. So, but I've enjoyed like getting the perspective on like guys that I'm totally like, kind of what a loser. And you're like, but he was really giving it all in that date and he was trying his best.
It's so funny because 1, when you were doing all that, I snorted. I was laughing so hard. And 2, when in your last episode with us, you were like, well, justice for Turtle because we fought so hard for him.
Yeah. Like you called Steve like a magical pixie of a person. Like, Steve was unemployed, completely insecure. Like, yeah, he was an okay boyfriend, but
oh my gosh.
So no, but I've like loved getting new perspective.
We need to do like a rapid fire power rankings of guys with you and just have you go through and just knock it down.
Yankee, the guy who had the stock tip for Samantha. Have you gotten to that episode yet?
I don't know if we've gotten to stock tip. Okay, New Yankee, number 1 though.
Stock tip.
Yeah, just New Yankee. I'm here for a spin-off of like the only good guy Carrie has ever had, actually.
Wow. Yeah.
Someone asked on the Instagram, have you met all 4 of the girls?
I have met Kristen Davis, Sarah Jessica Parker, and Cynthia Nixon.
Okay.
Yeah. But also Patricia Field, Michael Patrick King, Jenny Bix, who was a writer.
Yeah.
Like this completely insane ride of, and like we were talking a little bit before, but like it really is such a joy to be part of this show that like the creators and the stars of it are still like happy about and like connected to it. And they like to see people connecting to it. And I feel so often like people and stars like try to distance themselves from really work or like, oh, I'm doing new things. And like, they're just all like, so, I mean, who am I? I'm like a little person who dresses up like Carrie on the internet. And like, I've gotten to meet these people and they've all been like insanely nice and giving of their time. And it's just like, for somebody who is purely just like a super fan and like has watched these episodes forever to get to even like breathe the same air as like Charlotte and Miranda, like Patrick King, who created. Like it's totally.
Well, don't sell yourself short, because the stuff that you are making and the stuff that you do is absolutely incredible.
That's very nice.
And every single time I see a new one of your posts, it blows me away. Like the work that you put into it and how just incredible your stuff is. It's absolutely amazing.
Can you take us through like okay, if you were going to do a look, what's the process and how long does that take?
So the first step in the process is me alone in my apartment being like, well, there's no fucking way. That is a $60,000 Dolce & Gabbana gown. There's no way that I am going to be able to, and like, I have like a Midwestern build. Like, this is impossible. I need to quit. And then I like take it like piece by piece. I'm like, okay, I could maybe get like a dress that sort of has that top shape on Amazon and cut it off. So I like kind of deconstruct the outfit and think about like, oh, I could like paint something that looked like that, or I could like duct tape that to my body, like just take it like piece by piece and start to put it together. And then like just everywhere I go in New York, I'm like looking for like things in different shades because it's like so specific what you wore. And like, I love all the outfits. And so I really want to make it look like, because and even you like hear Patricia Field talk, like everything was created for a reason, you know, like she's wearing things because it fits in with the context. So just even the notion of me of like changing the shade of pink is like blasphemous. And then I like trick some friend to come over and take a picture and it's usually really fun. And then I like watch the episode.
No, correct. The first few you tricked your friends, and now your friends are just like, "Can I take a picture, please?"
Right. There was definitely like a point like in between like whatever it is now and when it was just a Halloween costume, where my friends were like, so we're really sticking with this Carrie Bradshaw thing, huh? We're just going to keep doing these outfits?
And then it comes around and people are like, you know, I was always thought that was great. It's like, I don't know. I specifically remember you rolling your eyes for 6 months until.
What I think is amazing about it is your captions are so well like curated too. It's not just your outfits, but your captions.
Well, and I'm sure you're like after the, like now it's season 4, you realize just how inextricably linked Carrie as the character is with Carrie as the like voiceover the like speaking style, in the rhythm, in the cadence, and it's just like so part of the show.
And I can hear it with your captions. I can hear her reading those and saying those. They're so well written and so well thought out, and they're just insane.
Well, I think
they're so good.
Last time you was here, you kind of talked about how like writing the captions and coming up with it was kind of therapeutic in a way.
Oh my gosh, totally.
And I feel like our conversations, it's been that same way that it's like, oh, cool, like we'll start a podcast, and then you're like, I've never thought so much about dating and and like sex and relationships and friendship and all that stuff, and it's wild because you end up doing it so much and you're like, wow, this is really interesting.
And I mean, like the show and the style of that kind of monologue is like spoofed a lot. But it really is, I think, what is so key to like it's such a lean in show. Like those, even when they're ridiculous questions, like, can you ever really be friends with an ex? Like it forces you as the audience to like participate in the show. It's not like a passive, like, oh, let me just watch these characters go throughout their lives. It's this super active, like, what would I do in that situation? Would I leave my boyfriend? Would I quit my job? Would I like be mad at my friend? Like, you just force yourself to participate in it. I think because like the characters are, archetypes in certain ways. And so you identify with them and like these open, loose questions, you like dive in with that. And like Carrie, I mean, now as someone who's like studied, like I could like write an MFA thesis on like how Carrie Bradshaw writes her columns. But like she's very, very rarely like declarative in them. She's very rarely like, don't be friends with like it's an open question. Like even the notion of like, not all girls are meant to be tamed. She doesn't say that. She says, maybe some girls aren't meant to be tamed. And it just like forces you to like lean into it a little bit. Like, nod your head like, maybe. Like, which is different than if she were like pedantic about it.
Totally.
So I just think it's like, so that's why like with my account, like it's like absolutely, because it was my favorite part of the show too, where it like got me to, sort through some stuff as well. Where like you wondered right along with Miss Bradshaw.
Absolutely. Now you have a soft spot for this episode that we're gonna watch, season 4, episode 6.
It's a pretty great episode.
Is there, and you kind of reached out and said that you'd particularly like to do this episode. Is there a reason that this episode
just
is
the drama? The drama.
Ooh.
I think you guys are going to really like it. I think we're going to see some of your faves.
Turtle's back. You just told us. You heard it here first.
Turtle is the first guy that they
Turtle and
share.
Shmuel are coming back.
Yeah.
It makes sense because the name of the episode is Shell Yeah. Really? No, it's baby. It's Baby Talk is Cheap.
Baby Talk is cheap.
Yeah.
So far, season 3 was like just the devastating, incredible roller coaster everyone said. Like just, we had on, I'm sorry, what's his, the guy that did the podcast. I forget his name.
Wait,
I'm thinking
James Andrew Miller, another
Miller.
3-name guy. He did the Origins podcast. Jim Miller, who he did the Sex and the City Origins podcast. He interviewed like everyone, like everybody from the cast, the writers, all this stuff. It's like a whole compendium of the whole show.
But when we had him on, he talked about how Michael Patrick King took over as showrunner for season 3.
And
had a lot of his hand in like creating like a larger arc and everything. And so we were in season 3 just being like, people, this is interesting. And then it was like by the end, it was wild. And so season 4 has been like just, I don't know, it's been like just on top of that of like, we're still in it. We're happy Trey's back. What else has been going on? Right now, Carrie's single.
But this goes to what you just said at the beginning. Where you're like, we're happy Trey's
back. Can't get it up.
Clearly,
listen, Dan, if you were into jugs, you would understand. These are 3 guys that love jugs.
I love it.
They have weirdly clingy relationships to our moms. Like, love Trey.
When I get sick,
the first time season 4 has ever been introed as, and Trey's back. like the least interest, but I mean, he is back.
What
There's no denying.
Tennis. I think tennis is a great sport.
No, but I think it's so interesting that like notion, because Carrie changes too a bit from like season, and like my like spiritual center Carrie is like season 1 like smoking cigs, season 2 like walking away from the Plaza Hotel, like the very like sort of more like independent, like I don't care if I get married, like sort of girl. And then, but she's also getting older. Like she just has different things to think about.
Well, I'm excited for that.
Here we go.
Let's do it.
all right, let's
Season
get into
4, episode 6, Baby Talk is cheap.
it. Baby Talk is Cheap, starring Bernie Turtletap.
We'll be back.
Episode 54. Baby Talk is Cheap. Carrie realizes she wants to get back together with Aidan. Miranda is surprised when a man she met while training for an upcoming marathon enjoys performing anilingus and expects to receive it as well. Charlotte and Trey decide to keep trying to have a baby. Samantha wears fake nipples and attracts a man who uses baby talk during sex. And now, back to the boys.
Welcome back, everybody. Oh my.
Just when you...
I barely survived.
Wow.
It's the 14th time I've seen it.
It's so good when you know, like...
So good.
When you know that something big is about to happen, and then you're like, wow. No, nothing big happened in this episode. But no, it was just like such a good episode.
It's so good. Everyone's good.
You're right.
It's just perfect.
Yeah.
And it has you probably noticed by now, but like pretty much every episode has like 2 substantive plot lines and 2 like fun plot lines.
Yep.
Sex and the City is the only show where it can follow a like, you broke my heart.
Yes,
with,
totally.
I love your kitty witty.
Yeah.
Like it just goes boom, boom. So you like don't ever get too just like immersed in it. You get to like they lift you up.
It's like amazing tension and release the whole time.
So good.
Yeah, it's
Charlotte
great.
was perfect. It was just perfect.
That episode is insane.
The butt stuff, like chat and chew, is iconic. And also, I mean, these characters start out as such archetypes, and then they like evolve over time to be less expected. And like Charlotte's moment at the chat and chew, and he was the one who was like, no, I and Trey both enjoy a little tuckus lingus.
Yeah.
So yeah, like she's more progressive than her sex columnist friend.
Right.
Yeah, totally.
There's a lot to unpack in this episode.
Yeah.
And just like they nail in a way that it's like that's what it like. It's interesting because email now is we exist in email.
Yeah.
We exist in like the internet. So it's weird for them to not exist in that, be like, we should tackle email. But it's really fun to watch in a way that at the time it was probably like
where you had to actively get email.
Yeah.
Like you had to make a decision to get email.
And I'm sure like at the time when this was happening, there's probably, if there's 6 people watching it together, there were 3 that were like, I actually love email. And other people are like, I don't know, I do phone calls. You know,
I mean, I still side with Carrie when she says, so far not a fan of the email.
Yeah.
Like, I'm still not the biggest fan of the email.
Yeah.
Well, now it's like, how many fucking emails do you get now that are actually like communication with a friend?
And fun.
It's all just like annoying bullshit. Or
It's email. When you look at like how digital communication is, email is like writing a check in terms of digital communication.
Yeah.
It's like a text is like what you do more like the email is like I'll break up my check, like I'll break up my email and write a letter to my friend.
Yeah.
Like it's the more formal one of all the other ones now.
I feel like this is an episode that like I would love like these genius Sex and the City writers to like just take this exact episode structure and just do it today. Because Carrie's couldn't help but wonder about like, are these new forms of communication really helping us communicate better? Like, oh my God, could that be a more relevant question?
Totally.
Like they were behind on bisexuals, but really ahead of the curve on like communication tools.
Yes.
that's hilarious.
That's totally true.
Yeah. And then the through line for this episode, of course, was do actions speak louder than words? Like you said, when she's talking about communications, the story with Aidan and Carrie, she feels like his body language and his kiss is telling her one thing, but his words are telling him another. Of course, Miranda and the tuckus lingus actions and words. Samantha with the baby talk. And then, of course, Charlotte and Trey are bringing it in with the actual baby talk, whether or not they want to have a baby, and then having their friends over who have kids to kind of see what it's like to have a family. Great episode. So much to talk about.
And all of it so just real. Like that dinner with Charlotte and Trey and their family, like that was so good, so real. Like the Aidan and Carrie, like their argument, so real. Like it was all just like, and even like Miranda with the butt stuff. Like, remember, do you watch Broad City when when they did pegging?
The pegging episode with Abby. And,
this was like a precursor to the pegging.
Yes.
Like it's all just.
This is so funny too, because Kevin and I this past last weekend. We another guest of
We're pegged.
We got pegged.
Yeah, so we
got
were,
pegged,
yeah.
and then I was like,
ate
should
each
I
other
peg him back? And I don't know. No, we went to a party. Another one of our guests, Kurt Ozenlund, he had worked at Playboy, and Playboy's like rebranding.
Oh, totally. Yeah.
And so he guest edited an interview or an episode of theirs, and so like they had this launch party, and I was talking to a friend today, and I was like, it's so weird because Playboy's totally different. And my friend was like, well, yeah, imagine if you're a magazine that used to cover like think pieces and clunky stereo equipment, cigars and like sports cars, and you had like softcore pornography, and now it's like, you know what's cool now? Eating ass and pegging. So catch up, Playboy.
Yeah.
Yeah, and like the allure of seeing boobs is
It's just like,
as this episode indicated,
Yeah.
the internet was
the internet was like, totally.
I mean, and Samantha called it too when she's like, "I like it for the porn." Like, little did she know.
Little did she know she was.
Get ready. The internet is one step ahead of you there.
Yeah.
Totally. And like their scene, I mean, anytime all four of them are on the scene together, I like my like heart.
Yes.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Because it's just so good. And I feel like these like foursome scenes were so good. Like the first one, even them embodying all of our, as an audience viewer's perspective on Aidan. Like Samantha is saying like, oh no, he's granola, get rid of him. And Charlotte's saying like, no, he's the perfect boyfriend. Like maybe a little chubby, but he's perfect.
Also, I didn't realize this. Was he earlier? They were like, he's got to get rid of that belly. Did they say that? Did they say something about him being in like better shape now?
Yeah. So Carrie says that he got rid of the tummy.
Did he have a huge tummy before?
I think he was bigger.
Not huge, but there was that episode when like he didn't want her to go to the club and she stayed in and he like ate Cheez-Its and she rubbed his belly.
Oh yeah. I guess he was like a little more of like
just a little. I mean, he's always been like a very handsome man.
yeah.
And he had the long hair.
He had long
which kinda makes you
hair.
look
Now he's got like a
bigger.
shaved head now.
I put a picture up on our Instagram just of, I was like watching an iconic episode, and two separate people messaged back within a few minutes that were just like, the era of hot Aidan is here.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so it
He was
must be a
like- he
thing
had a
that's
glow
like,
up.
that
Yeah.
people are like, oh shit.
And it's also a thing that happens in your real life. Like you break up with someone and then you see them again. And just like, if you've just been like devoting your life to getting
Yes.
hotter,
Yeah.
like what the fuck, like leave me alone.
Which yeah, totally. He's just like Carly going to the gym all the time, like walking his dog.
I actually enjoy CrossFit. No, you don't. No, you don't.
Yeah. And it was just like their dynamic together, like her kind of stuttering over the phone,
Yeah.
and like
Oh, man.
answering the wrong question, and then her telling a story too long at dinner. Like it was just so how that interaction would.
Absolutely.
Oh, that kiss.
Oh my god.
That kiss
That was
he
such a
lays
weird,
on her
Yeah.
that's
kiss.
such a
Yeah.
perfect, like, oh, this is great. We had a great night. We did this. And then
Let's end it on an awkward note that we're both going to now spend 5 hours thinking about.
Totally.
Yeah.
It also, the email thing was interesting because now that Carrie has this outlet to go process to someone else, it reminds me so much like how much time did you not spend before email of going home and being like, I got to open up my computer and write a letter to a friend to process everything that just happened. When it's like before you would be like, I can get on the phone or I can just obsess with myself, but I don't have a million. I like now you would be like, I'm going to send a really long text to someone and like over process this. Back then you didn't have you couldn't do that.
And like her early understanding of like trying to get the perfect tone in her email is now we do it 900 times a day. It's
Completely.
like, I want to send this text message and I want him to know that I'm interested, but not like obsessed.
And then also,
I want
like,
him to know that I'm funny, but not like trying to.
Right.
Like,
this joke will go, I'll make it real like funny and just sort of and then they don't respond and you're like, fuck, was that no, I was
and you
I was
go
joking.
and like try to figure out where it went. Right? It's like, it was that exclamation point.
Totally.
That's where it all fell
Totally.
apart.
No.
Like, if I only would have deleted that exclamation point, we'd probably be married by now. Like, it's so like we need Sex and the City back to help us like process it. Because like episodes like this, I'm sure at the time, I know at the time, we're like totally like, oh my God, we're all going through that. Like, we have all of these new tools.
I think they could, totally. I think they could do a whole episode on sending a text and stopping it in the middle where the bubbles go away. The little like dot goes away. And it would be like, how do we, like, what happens when we stop in the middle and we can't start again? Totally. Like there's a whole deal of like what that says where someone's like, I saw you writing something and then you stopped writing and like, what were you saying?
That's kind of the cool, that's one of the secrets of the show, I think, that's like an open secret, which is now like to address those issues, sometimes the TV writers have to be too clever because the show is like, it must be written like perfect, like television. And here they have the perfect outlet for her to be like, here's what we're going to be talking about in this episode. And I feel like now people would be like, critics and stuff, it wouldn't get the quite acclaim now. You have to bury it within like other stuff. And here you can just be like, here's what we're talking about.
Yeah. Right.
And then also she can do the voiceover and you can do the stuff that it's like, it's fine. Like here's exactly what we're talking about. Yeah. And then with their, the four girls talking over the chat and choose, the same thing that it's like, here's our moment to talk about what the audience is talking about. Yeah. And it's so, as a viewer, like it helps so much so that you can go into those things that we're all talking about without it being, I don't know, without it being judged.
You can get all the diverse perspectives without it needing to be like a 45-hour long episode.
Yes.
Like you can just get all the different, it's like a little, what was that, Crossfire show?
Yeah.
Back in the day. Like all the different. And there was, because I know you guys have a theory that Trey isn't real.
Yes.
So you know there's a theory that Sarah Jessica Parker herself has talked about that Miranda, Charlotte, and Samantha aren't real.
It's the Fight Club. It's the Fight Club theory that it all happens in her head.
It's all a column. Like the whole thing is a column, and these are characters that Carrie Bradshaw, as a writer, created to serve as different perspectives.
My gosh.
Like who?
We need to look into that.
Yeah, we've talked about it before. I think
during an interview or something.
Yeah,
she was just like, she had thought about that. I mean, I think most likely this is just a straightforward show of four friends. Everybody is real.
Yeah.
Yes, but it speaks to the fact that like even that like makes everyone excited in a way that's like, oh my God, that it's like, no, that's not, it's like, okay, that's cool. I'm onto that.
Totally. And you like start to unpack it. Yeah.
All right. So let's get into it. Eating ass. Okay. No, go ahead. Should we run down?
I already did.
He already did.
Bro, okay. Do you not listen to a word that I say?
Yeah. Well, where's the next place we're gonna go? I want to make sure.
Let's go to the fake nipples scene because Dan, you were saying that there's the whole deal where they're at a bar, they're together. Carrie's wearing a white weightlifting glove, with the fingers cut off.
Wait, she was?
Yes.
I didn't even notice that.
I asked Dan because there is an outfit you've done where she's wearing some sort of glove.
Yeah, she wore gloves. She wore gloves in SJP's like Stella Artois commercial.
Oh,
she had like these little like white fingerless gloves.
Yeah,
and she had gloves on. You guys haven't gotten to the Petrovsky plot line.
No,
that was a big glove moment for Carrie. It was like, what do I do? I'm dating this fancy person. I'll put gloves on. But yeah, I mean that in the very beginning of the episode, it's just one of those, I think meme is the wrong word, but it's just really frequently like re-put up because it's just this perfect moment of like female friendship.
Yeah.
They're just like happy and laughing and like they have the cosmos, which is obviously like so iconic. And everybody looks so good. Yeah.
And then
it's lovely.
Yeah. And they're hanging out. And then who brings out the fake nipples? Is it Samantha?
Samantha got them as a PR gift, which also like these little nuggets that make the show so real. Like anybody who has a friend in PR, they're always walking around with like, oh,
random
this is the new vodka that they sent.
Yeah.
So and then Miranda puts the fake nipples in and gets all the
attention.
Guys.
Yeah.
I love that when she threw them off because the first thing when she put them on, I'm like, yeah, then what do you do?
Right.
And then the way like they nailed that, her just like throwing off, you're like, all right, cool.
Totally.
You're a step ahead of me. I love that.
Yeah.
Because Warren Dreyfuss will figure that out. Dreyfuss will be on the case. Absolutely.
Wait, Dreyfuss is the guy that Samantha...
Baby talk.
Oh, yeah, baby talk guy. When Samantha threw him off.
No, his name wasn't that. It's Warren Dreyfuss.
Yeah, Warren Dreyfuss.
That's the baby talk thing is. Yeah, I don't know.
It's super sexy. It's super sexy. That's all you can say, Kevin.
Corey's
It's super
planting his
sexy.
flag. He's into it.
Listen,
Leave Warren alone.
listen. I'm into baby talk. I'm into fake nipples, and I'm into eating ass.
I don't know. I'm trying to think if they're. I mean, they covered some good. Sometimes they like throw a dart and it slightly misses of being like, okay, that didn't play exactly how I wanted to. But the eating ass and the baby talk thing were both really good because I guess those are just such intimate things that it's like poor Warren is like just like trying to do his thing.
Yeah.
And the other guy's just like there's another side since it's their perspective of being like they want to be sexually free. And it's these two guys that are just like, I'm just going to go for it and do what I do. And then they get shamed for it, you know?
Well, shamed, but they also react really aggressively.
Yeah,
like
he could have.
They both, and I think it's like, I mean, both of these were like the take a brain break.
Yeah,
plot
that's
line.
completely
Yeah. Just having fun and like it was, before we were all like super aware. But like in both scenarios, like it wasn't. They were like one night stand type.
Right.
Scenarios where
Right.
like no one was comfortable talking about their sexual proclivities. They just like wanted to do them. And the second that it was like it was like, I'm out of here.
But you're right. That is a thing where granted they're home together, but that is like if you meet someone and you're making out at a party and then they're just like, they're like, I want you to make out with my buttocks. And you're like, what is that? And they're like, I like to talk like a gargoyle when I make out. And you're like, what the hell?
It's like,
have
if
a
you're
golem
in a
fetish.
relationship
Yeah,
with
it's like, okay,
someone,
cool.
You can unpack
Yeah.
that. But if this is like, if you met 5 minutes ago, you sort of have to be like, okay, am I into gargoyle butt stuff? Or am I not into gargoyle
I'm like,
butt
hey,
stuff?
3 weeks in, totally into it. But hey, we just met each other.
Gargoyle Butt Stuff's a great band name.
Oh, dude, Gargoyle Butt Stuff. Their first 2 albums, incredible. And then Jack
rock.
and then Jack White broke off and started White Stripes. But his first band, Gargoyle Butt Stuff, revolutionary.
Yeah, I mean, speaking of revolutionary, the fact, like the butt stuff conversation got
dude.
like a solid 5 minutes.
Which is
Yeah.
crazy.
I
'cause
know,
this
which
is-
I feel like
TV
that's
show
stuff
in
that
yeah.
20
people are
years
glomming onto that now.
Yeah, that was 20 years ago.
And
Yeah.
Samantha called when she was like, something's happening with men in the butt.
Yeah.
Like she saw it. And now, I
Yes.
mean,
No.
butt stuff is like, there will be articles in Cosmo and like straight guys and like, all the, or like you guys.
Totally. Yeah, totally. No, but you're like, even if you go, like, you could follow the line from that. Even like Sir Mix-a-Lot, like Baby Got Back, which was like years before this, and then it just like went more and more and more.
Yeah, it's like if you've been appreciating looking at this from afar. Whoa, get in there. You know what I mean? It's like you like it so much. Just take the next step. Do what you want to do. You've been looking at this beautiful Thanksgiving turkey, singing songs about it, talking about it, and it's
Carve it
time-
up.
It's
Carve it
Time to
up.
carve it up and break that wishbone. Let's go.
Meanwhile,
That's an extended metaphor fit for a sex.
it is. Meanwhile, Trey's been eating turkey gobbler sandwiches for years.
Yeah. No, Trey is
totally.
a man of surprises.
He-
Trey is like Trey. I mean, I also love Trey.
He's the face of season 4. Let's be honest.
The mascot.
Aidan who? Carrie? No. It also, this episode has one of my favorite subplot lines, which is like the like extracurricular activities of Charlotte. I find endlessly fascinating. Like she'll take a samba class. She takes like an hour drumming class.
Yeah.
And then 2, like obviously my heart belongs to Carrie. And Carrie in workout classes is always just like in this one, she was like wearing sunglasses, just like talking the entire time.
Yeah.
There's a yoga episode where she's just
Yes.
like sitting cross-legged. Like,
and it's like,
one
how'd
of
you
my
get this
favorite-
6-pack?
Yeah. Then her shirt is
Riddle me that.
bristling with abs.
Yeah.
Just like the most, beautiful.
Didn't you feel like that was like the early version of a Crunch Gym too, where they were just like, we have crazy classes.
Right.
Today, come to like African drumming, Zumba, or what? Like every Crunch Gym just have a crazy
Don't
stuff.
knock it till you try, man.
Hey, I've done
Get
it.
all my cardio in.
I've done it.
And
Hey,
all of those places now have their own brick and mortar thing. So it's like now there's not just
Yeah, that's
Crunch
true.
Gym. There's like Barry's Boot Camp and Soul Cycle, and there's like 5 new ones on my block. I'm like, how many people are all going to these? There's no way.
Clearly a lot.
Wait, speaking of cardio, Carrie had the line, "Shopping is my cardio." That's like a major line for the show.
Yeah, and when you watch it, I feel like this is true of all, like when you watch things that are now older, you're like, oh, that was just like a simple.
Yeah.
Line. It wasn't like this big moment.
Yeah.
Which is kind of fun to think about the writers.
The memes and like all of that.
Can you imagine like the week after that aired, they're back in the writer's room and someone like walks up to Jenny Bix and they're like, "Jenny, shopping is my cardio." And she's like, "I told you, we nailed it."
Bam!
Well, what's wild is now,
and I heard people are eating butt 20% more since our
way to go.
We're changing,
flying off the shelf.
the ass stock market has exploded,
and diaper genies flying off.
Bye.
It was all the characters were just so. I mean, they were always perfect, but they were just so. They were characters and they had their perspectives, but they were interesting.
Yep.
You know what else I loved? I loved what she said, but also the way they brought it back, that she does the rock throwing Romeo and Juliet thing. And then for him to bring it back and do it, I'm like, that's just good stuff.
Wait, what are you talking about? The rock throwing?
She throws the rock and she says what I predicted she would say, which is like, when a guy does it, it's romantic. When a girl does it, it's psychotic.
Yes.
Or desperate, which is true and interesting that I knew they were going to go there, but also like, I don't know. I think that kind of speaks to like, I don't know, if guys get embarrassed. I don't know. I feel like guys are trained to be like, be bold, be crazy. And then you're rewarded for that, even though it's like, there's 14 other times maybe you creeped a girl out or like, we're not cool about it. Whereas with girls, taking that extra risk automatically can just be like, if it doesn't work out correctly, you're fucking crazy.
Yeah.
Guys will talk about it that way. Like
Totally.
Guys will be like, dude, she's nuts. Even though maybe what happened is the girl did that, it was awesome at the time, and you get embarrassed later.
Yeah.
And then say like, that girl's actually nuts, man.
Right. You're saving face.
Yeah, I thought that was really cool. But I just loved the writing aspect that it ends up in the end of him doing it.
It's so good. And it's also what you can feel both of their thought processes. You can feel him in his apartment thinking about it, knowing he still loves her. Should I go back? Should I not go back? Should I stay? Should I not stay? And like, then he comes back. And like probably one of my favorite moments in the whole series is like, she's just going on and on, like with her theory of like, they need to get back together, they need to try it again. And then he just goes, "You broke my heart." And it's just so good.
It is. I will say that's such a dramatic thing, and I feel like they actually pulled it off right there.
Yeah, because you can feel him getting exhausted. By, like, and just like, it's
and then you have the random couple walking by that's going to post on Overheard in New York.
Totally.
This guy was screaming at this woman on the stoop that she broke his heart. Like,
that's
and then she just runs.
Yeah.
That's such a New York moment, though. Like, have you walked by people just fighting on the street like that?
Totally.
All
like,
the time.
You can't. There's no privacy. Like, you have to do
totally.
it.
Yeah. If you don't live here, you need to know, if you ever do move here, you got to be ready to cry in public 4 or 5 times a year.
You got to totally. You have to be
5 times a day.
Yeah, completely.
That I thought he pulled that off. Lyft dramatic moment. No, it was an incredibly dramatic moment, but I feel like got to give him credit. Like, he pulled it off in a way that was like,
oh yeah, like beautiful acting.
Yeah.
I mean, the acting across the board. Like, I found Kristen Davis, and I mean always, but like in this episode, like you can just see in her eyes how much she wants kids, but then like she sees the kids and it's funny, but like there's still that hope in her eye. It's just beautiful.
And listen, I will say this about our conversation before we watched the episode of Trey and the random. I will say
I love Trey.
I know,
but
I will say what I think we've liked most about Trey being back is like at the end of season 3, we were like, oh, that was like a fun journey for her.
Yeah,
and I feel like especially in this episode, I feel like they had an opportunity to be like, they're divorced now, it's done. and they brought him back, and they're just exploring such interesting character for Charlotte.
Yeah.
To not just be back and be like, I wanted to be married, but I wanted this. Like, I thought they were done. And this was maybe one of the most dramatic things because they even like look at each other like, we did it.
That rattle. Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Like,
no.
It's like pretty heartbreaking.
Like, I think Sex and the City teaches you that, like, the one who got away never goes away.
Oh, totally.
Like, they will, like, keep coming back into your life. And that's why I find, like, you know, like, I have, like, such a heart for the early seasons because it's just, like, rock and roll, you know. But as it goes on, it's so real. Like, the people leave your life and then they come back, and then you wonder if maybe you did something wrong and you should go back to them, and like just those questions that you wrestle with if you stay like sort of single for a long time. It's really powerful, I think.
Yeah. There's also the great moment where they get back together on the double date. That was Steve, Aidan, Miranda, and Carrie, and they at Tortilla Flats. R.I.P. Rest in peace, Tortilla Flats. And the weird thing where Carrie was like, you need to tell Miranda, she was like, you have to leave now so that we don't have an awkward moment.
Big power move.
That was a weird power move.
Right. Because I need alone time.
I mean, she nailed it. Oh, she's 100% correct there.
She's 100% correct, but I still felt a little bad for Miranda.
There's a little bit.
I think she was 100% correct. If it weren't, I felt she was very selfish in that scene because Miranda is ex with Steve too.
Yeah.
If Miranda and Steve were just wingman and wingwoman in this scenario, then like, get out of here. But she was like totally not empathetic.
And also it's the way, exactly. No empathy. And then she didn't ask, she told. Yeah. She was like, here's what's going to happen.
I mean, empathy has never been our girl Carrie's.
No.
Never.
Cory and I were at a bar recently, and we were watching a concert. We were seeing the Rock on Tours. That's amazing. At Baby's All Right.
Yeah,
and they were doing like
so cool.
They play, it was great.
And we were just standing by the bar, and we just happened to be in front of two girls, and we were taller than them, so we were trying to make sure like they could see. And I specifically heard them, and we would like talk in between bands and stuff a little bit, and it was not flirtatious at first, and then
it was just normal, like you're standing too close to people at a concert, it's super crowded, and we're like, oh, this dude in front of us is way too tall, like random concert banter kind of stuff.
And I told Cory, I heard the girl say at one point, lean over to her friend, and she's just like, we need to choose which one we get soon or something, because the conversations were like switching like diagonal and then to the person.
Totally.
That's so funny.
And I heard him, and I was like, that's what I thought of when I saw that. Because like, you know, it's all fun and games, but I was like, I appreciate like the get down to business.
And it is real. I mean, that is exactly what you're saying, that you like strategize with your friends.
Well, you know, there was a Mr. Softy truck outside, and she was out in the ice cream choices.
Listen, you need to choose if you want a swirl, you want a chocolate dipped. What do you want to do? Yeah.
I would be remiss if we didn't talk about the scene in which the runner guy is inching his ass close to Miranda's face.
So good.
And she finally just explodes. What does she say?
I don't want to do that.
I don't want to. Yeah. So good. So you could just see the tear build up in her face.
It's so, and even if like butt stuff isn't your thing, you've all been in a scenario like that where somebody is just like trying to scoot something, trying to.
The guy's doing exactly what Samantha said to do, to totally lean into it. You'll get the message.
Yeah. And it was what you did in like middle school when you were trying to like round the next base. Oh, have you thought about? Did this cross your mind?
I remember, just like you'd like go like slightly above the shirt, just like by the girl's belt, and then you'd like go to the stomach,
like, how are we doing?
And then it's like, I'm at the bra.
Yeah.
Can you go?
Right.
But it's like,
what are these fake nipples?
Oh my gosh!
Wait,
where did you even get those?
Wait, are these fake nipples? These are fake nipples. Are you baby talking me? What's happening right now?
It was
that. Yeah, that has to be a like classic Miranda thing that sticks out.
Yeah.
That yelling, so good.
There was an explosion of stuff at this time with Freddie Got Fingered. There was a whole thing that was about like the one. Whatever character, the guy that played Stifler, he had a character in Freddie Got Fingered that like some girl like puts her finger in his ass.
No, that's in Road Trip. You're thinking
Road Trip.
It's
Tom Green movie still, right?
They're both Tom Green movies, and they're both like around this time. They're both
I think we can safely say Tom Green likes a finger.
But there's
Sean William Scott. And he has to go get like his prostate checked.
Yeah.
And then it like ends up like getting him off, and it turns into be his thing. And
it's science.
And then so then he just starts asking for it. But yeah, you're right. It does seem like there was a thing that was going through entertainment where people were like, here's the truth.
I wonder if Sex and the City started it.
I
wouldn't be surprised.
Well, and for that conversation, how many... Listen, please write in. Let us know on the Instagram. Was Sex in the City when you got into ass play, or was it through another source? I mean,
Real Sex was on before Sex in the City. Do you remember that?
I know, but did they talk show?
Completely.
Yeah, because on 8th grade trips, that was when we had HBO, and it was like a bunch of guys in a room, and then we were like, thought it'd be cool, but then it was a bunch of like 50-year-olds like jerking off on a mountain.
Right.
Real Sex is horrible.
The very, very, very first time I ever watched a Sex in the City episode was accidentally in my basement in my like growing up house. And I thought it was going to be like this sort of like softcore porn a la Real Sex. And so I like turn it on and I'm like, oh, they're talking a lot. So much shoes. I was just like waiting for, but then, something clicked and I was like, this is.
Wait a second.
Fabulous.
Somehow this show has this.
It's like a guy with like long stringy hair that's like, it's a $10,000 sex doll. And you're just like,
it was.
Yes.
No. That show does not deserve a podcast.
What was the first episode you ever saw? Do you remember?
Oh, the first episode I watched was the finale.
Oh, really?
Yeah, really? I came to it late because I was in the closet at the time, unsuccessfully in the closet, but nonetheless in the closet. And like, you can't be in the closet and like watch Sex in the City. It would be like listening to Britney Spears and like waving a rainbow flag, wearing assless chaps.
Totally.
And I was like in a fraternity. And so I watched we had HBO in my frat room because I loved The Sopranos and watching baseball. Like, so bizarre. And so these sorority girls came over to watch the season finale of Sex in the City, and they were like totally excited. And it was my room. And they were just like losing their minds. And I was also losing my mind, but like very just like sitting there being like, oh my God, what's happening on the TV right now? It was the episode. I mean, you haven't gotten there yet, but like this mint tulle dress and she's running through Paris. And I'm just like, basically like my whole life like clicked in that moment. I was like, so that was the first one I ever saw. But then like I obviously came to like the beginning.
So what year was the finale? 2006?
Yeah, it would have been. No, I think earlier.
I think the movie was maybe, I don't know.
4 or 5.
We can find this out.
It's just wild because I remember, I mean, I would have been in college when it was on, and it just didn't seem like it was it didn't seem like everyone was watching it. But also that's in another era before they talked so much about internet stuff on this episode. And it's before, like, imagine social media now. Even the fact that we're doing this is like the things we love, like find your community and you do this with your community.
But people did, like my ex-boyfriend would talk, he lived in New York when Sex and the City was on, and he was like kind of in the scene. And he talked about how people would watch episodes of Sex and the City, and then if there was like a club on the episode that night, they would go to the club. They would like go to Tao that night and like dance, and like Patricia Field would be there, and it was like a whole, so it was this community, but it was just like,
that's so awesome.
The moment.
Gosh.
That is,
like,
and
just like living in it.
And the fact that it was like no social media, it was so in the moment there because it was like
what it was.
Like
I don't know, maybe everybody
the
went
Samantha
to
Jones, the Samantha Jones of today would be like if they had to do PR for a TV show. They're like, this is what the dream would be.
Totally.
To have the after party each week at some place like that. Like, and that just happens naturally. And now it's like, that's what every PR person would want, like in their perfect world.
Yeah.
I wish I was, that'd be so great.
Yeah.
Magic. I mean, we're just lucky that we get to exist in the same world as Sex and the City, right? Like,
Absolutely.
We don't even need DVDs. We have our Prime account and we're doing it.
Shout out to Amazon.
Thank you to the people who made this show.
Yeah, we got to go to Tortilla Flats before it closed. There you go.
Knew about it.
Exactly.
Fun night.
Yeah.
It was rest in peace. A lot of good nights at Tortilla Flats.
Yeah, you've been more than most of us, I think.
Been a lot.
Yeah.
I
Well,
really
That's pretty.
enjoyed it.
That actually was pretty iconic because when I was doing the Sex and the City tours, that's one of the places we took them.
Which is so funny because that's the only scene, right?
Yeah, like
But like Magnolia was in the show for like 7 seconds.
So we talked about that, and we had said that, and someone was like, "I don't know if that's true." It was only them sitting in front on the bench, right?
Yeah.
And it's built the entire empire of it.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, we would go there and people would be like, "Oh yeah, that's the double date with Aidan and Steve," and I was like, I didn't even know who Aidan and Steve are, and now like they're like my brothers.
Yes, we didn't even really touch on Steve, really.
We didn't really talk a lot about
He
Steve.
didn't really do much in this episode.
Yeah, I mean, he went to the bathroom
Right.
He was a huge wingman.
Yeah.
Wait,
because he was laughing too hard.
here's an interesting question.
He's adorable.
Which is what's the precedent for Steve and Miranda hanging out, and why didn't they just write that as a thing of being like, we're both going to be on a weird double date? Because they just assumed
Because they needed 2 silly plot lines, and that would have been 3 serious plot
That's
lines.
true.
And 1 silly plot line.
Point.
They needed Miranda have her butt eaten. And Steve would have been like this other emotional thing, and then we're like in drama HBO territory. And the show would have to be an hour.
I'm not. I can't get over those sometimes the way that they represent just like the way you hang out with an ex, because I'm like, not only do I not live like that, I just don't know anyone that does.
Right.
Yeah.
And so they shift back and forth between being like, yeah, just we're exes, and then other times it's like dramatic, and I'm like, I don't know anyone who's hanging out with their exes and it's not a thing.
I do know. Yeah, you're right. Like I know people that have been in the same periphery as their exes, like in groups that still hang out like that, but not being like, let's go on a double date.
Let's go on a double.
Yeah,
just not a
totally.
date with 2 exes.
I'm gonna
That's insane.
get my ass eaten, hang out with my ex who I was in love with, and then go back and be like, yeah, I
Don't run a
want to
9-minute mile.
Also,
It's no big
Matt,
deal.
Right.
exactly.
I don't want to do that.
Imagine what was going on in her mind though. She's like going out with this. She's having all the like butt eating things going on in her mind, and then she's also got to worry about running the marathon, and she's hanging out with Steve. There's like so much. She's having so much
going on
internal
in her
drama going on inside. Yeah, totally.
Yeah, and she's getting better at running.
Yeah. Exactly. Yeah, she's
But she's always been good at juggling everything. I mean, that's why Miranda is like now the favorite.
Yeah.
Because like she can do everything.
Multitasking.
She can have dinner with an ex at 8 and then like go have sex with you. Well, the guy was hot too. Like,
Yeah.
the running guy. Yeah.
hot.
Yeah.
And like avant-garde. So yeah, I think he should have
a
started
little
out.
slow, but he had a knee injury.
Yeah, he had a knee injury. He had knee surgery. He had knee
Still
surgery.
running a 10-minute
He's run
mile.
the
He's
marathon
doing fine.
4 times.
Yeah, and he had knee surgery. Totally.
Yeah.
There's a thing that we've been doing, and I think this came about after the last time you were on, but we actually do a podcast within a podcast, and it's time to start that
Meta.
podcast.
Yeah. All right.
It's a favorite time. It's a favorite guy. It's Steve Talk.
Miranda.
Welcome to Steve Talk, a podcast within a podcast where we talk about all things Steve. Since Steve was in this episode, I think it's only fair that we reenact a quick scene in which Miranda has to relay the information to Steve that he has to leave Tortilla Flats early to give Carrie and Aidan some alone time. I'm not sure how Steve's going to react to this because he really likes Tortilla Flats.
Would you like to play Miranda in this scene? You'll be doing it across from Steve.
And like come up with things to say in the moment.
Kevin can also play Miranda.
You don't have to.
No, I think you should play Miranda.
Kevin can play Miranda.
I'll
You
play
could
Miranda.
you could
You
play
have all
a
these like comedians on your show.
you could you
like,
oh come on.
than all the
Come on.
comedians
Come on.
Like I'll just
Will you be our server?
You could be a
Oh,
server.
yeah.
Okay.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah,
You just
yeah.
come in and
Yeah.
I don't participate in this either. I just watch and laugh. So
All right. I'll play Miranda.
I'll be playing the part of
the scene
Steve.
is Miranda telling
Yeah.
Steve that he has to leave, even though he doesn't want to.
All right.
Okay.
Hey, Miranda, I was about to go back to the table. There's no toilet paper in there. Not that I,
Yeah.
did a number 2.
Well,
I don't want to talk too much about my tuchus, if you know what I'm saying.
yeah. It's time.
That seems like that hit a nerve. Something going on?
It's actually fine. It's actually good that you're.
Okay, well, let's go back. I really want to get those chips and salsa, another round of mugs, huh?
I know we just got a bunch of guacamole.
Oh my gosh, I love the guac here at Tortilla Flats.
I had to
It's
pay
the
for it
best.
because it's like, I don't know, like you're clearly
Yeah,
almost
thank you.
homeless at any given moment.
Well, thank you,
but I
though,
will
because,
say-
I am a business owner these days, though.
and
that's
a
my
lot, Brenda.
partner, Aidan.
We got to get out of here.
We got to go back. Why? What?
Well, here's the thing: is Aidan and Carrie are going to get together, and also
What?
I'm into this new thing.
My best friend, Aidan?
Yeah. And,
Continue. What's your new thing?
well, there's this guy that wants to do it, but I want to do it with someone that I care about.
Wait, but that's kind of like when I started a business with Aidan. I cared about him. Is it the same thing? Is it like what me and Aidan have going on with each other?
There's this guy. He likes.
Is what you're doing with this guy the exact same thing I do with Aidan?
I think it actually might be.
Oh,
Let's say it on 3, and we'll see if it's the same thing.
okay.
1, 2, 3.
Financial
He has-
responsibility.
Oh my gosh! I'm so
Oh my,
embarrassed.
Miranda, I didn't see this coming. Excuse me, waiter.
Hey, so are we still working on that here?
Deep talk.
Miranda.
All right, what a Steve talk.
That
What
was
a
great
Steve talk.
Nice.
Great.
That was a great
was-
Steve
There
talk.
were.
I definitely had fantasies as a young man. about-
With Steve?
No, with Stephen Aidan.
How do you think fanfic exists out there of Steve and Aidan at O'Neill's after things have
Yeah, I
closed
mean, the
down?
brilliant
Or at
geniuses
Scout, I guess.
of every outfit on Sex and the City. Lauren and Chelsea recently did a fanfic of Big and Aidan.
Oh,
When
wow.
they mud wrestle.
Oh,
I don't
wow.
know if you've gotten to that.
No, we haven't
No,
gotten to
no,
that yet.
no.
That sounds
They really
incredible.
Stay tuned. Stay tuned.
Oh,
my God.
Yeah.
What in the world?
You want to talk about weird behavior with your exes? Like you
Yeah.
haven't even like approached the weirdness that Carrie gets.
One of the things that I think sometimes people forget, or I think some people listen to the podcast and some follow us and don't know what the premise is, but it's like, it's crazy having on all these people that love the show.
Right.
When
They
we
don't.
have, like, we
Yeah.
don't know
They-
what's
you
going to
don't
happen.
know.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it's
Yeah.
like, it makes us eager to
But you probably know like pieces
Yes.
from
Yes.
pop culture. Like you know how it's going to end up.
Yeah.
And you know,
Right,
like,
right.
So it's probably like putting a puzzle together.
But then we
Yes.
find stuff out like that. Like I've never heard that before.
Yeah.
The mud wrestling
Yeah.
thing. So
And
now
it's
I'm
an
like,
absurd episode.
I kinda hope you're
I just
making
need
it
you
up.
to text me when the episode happens.
I
Because
kind of hope you're making up so we're ready for it, and then it just never happens.
The most absurd like behavior.
Yeah.
Of
Oh my
Carrie.
gosh.
All right. So before we do our Cosmo rating for the episode, I was wondering, do you have any outfits that are in the works for your next Carrie Dragshaw
Yeah.
moves? How many at any given moment do you have going in your head? One at a time, or like 5
No,
or so?
I usually have like 3 that are like in the background and 1 that I'm like actively like, okay, I got to get this together. Yeah, I have several. There's like a pants moment that's like very, for people who are into drag, like pants on the runway, like a fun
Nice.
thing for a drag, because it's obviously less drag because it's like pants. So yeah, I have a famous Carrie pant moment.
Love that.
And then actually watching this episode made me really want to do that necklace that she's wearing when her and Aidan are yelling at each other.
Yeah.
Like
Is that the
outfit is
diamond
simple,
one?
But it was
Yeah.
it was really like a moment.
yeah.
And I also kind of was inspired to dress up like Charlotte in that when the family came over, that like rose sundress
Yes,
that she was
totally.
wearing was amazing.
That was great.
So I might need to like do a spin-off of myself. She looked so good.
That was great. Have you seen the Carrie rugby shirt that she was wearing at the chat and shoot? It was like a blue and red
it's so
rugby
good.
shirt.
I
Have you done that too?
No, because it's a little like, I mean,
It does feel like a Ralph Lauren ad,
yeah,
like basically
and
straight
it's
up.
like, because I think her hair is up in that too.
Mm-hmm.
So then I just sort of like look like a man in like a rugby shirt with like pulled back hair. It's like
Yes,
I've tried a few like casual Carrie looks, and like it's sort of amusing to me and my friends, but it's like I put it up and it's just like because I'm not very good at makeup and I'm not like that a very good drag queen, and so like I put it up and it's just like
it's Dan styled.
Yeah.
Hey, Dan.
Yeah. So but I have done from this episode when she wears the tie and they're shopping for the baby genie.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, it's like pretty. I love that.
Yeah.
You know, I was thinking today, I was like, if we did, we obviously don't want to step on what you do, you know, but I was like, we should do the like 3 guys, like rather than doing drag, just like do a few of the guys, like, cause you already have like a Steve vibe. You could clearly get a
Do
Steve
you
vibe.
know what girls you are yet? Like, have you played that parlor game? Like,
Yeah,
are
we
you
did.
with Charlotte,
We did.
Miranda,
We did
Carrie,
today.
Samantha?
Yeah, we kind of did today, and we talk about it a lot.
You could be a woke Charlotte too.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, it's like it's fun to play, and we ended up playing it. But the more you do the show, though, like week to week, talk about it week to week, you realize like your little pieces each week.
Totally. And I think that's the brilliance of the show is that all of us are all of them.
Yeah,
We all
totally.
have like the Samantha inside of us. We all in our quieter moments have the Charlotte that just
Yeah.
like wants things to work out and hopes that they do and believe they will.
Yeah.
Like the work hard Miranda. Yeah, we have them all.
I've always had an appreciate now that we're friends with Kristen Davis, close personal friend. I do. It is funny because it's like
we should double tape.
yeah.
Just like
Go to Tortilla
you guys
Flats.
and Kristen.
Once she
It's
tweeted
fine.
back at us 2 times, is sort of like when I see her on the show, it's like I guess I'm that just because I have the most personal connection with you. You know?
That's funny. Well, let's do the Cosmo rating.
All right, let's do it.
Do it.
Let's do our.
It really sounded like you thought that was funny. That's funny. Cosmo rating.
That's
That was
fun.
really great, Kevin.
That's like a dad being like, okay, that's good, buddy. Time to go to bed.
Kevin, it was funny.
It really was.
I chuckled.
It really was.
It was really funny.
All right. Cosmo rating. Do you?
Yeah.
Do you?
Yeah, I listened to your podcast.
I know.
All right.
I'm well aware.
Or do you have your Cosmo rating?
Do you
for
know
this,
your?
though?
Do you know?
Yes.
Do you already have it?
Yes.
Okay, let's go.
All right. Let's
Count
do
it
it at the
down,
same
John.
time.
We'll do it on 3.
3, 2, 1. 5.0. What did you say?
I said 5.
What did you say?
I said 4.5.
Wow, I said 5.
Damn it!
Defend 4.5.
Okay, this is my defense for all of this.
Okay.
and
you
this
have
is
to save. You also haven't seen all the episodes.
that's what I was gonna say.
You might be
This is what it
saving
is.
0.5.
This is like so much in my life. It's always that I'm like, it's always like maybe I'll hold back just in
Yeah.
case. And so there's a thing where I'm like, there are so many moments like at the end when Aidan runs upstairs. There's a shot of Carrie running to the door, and it's shot from behind, and her like all the flowing stuff and like the light. It's like cinematic. It looks so good.
Yeah.
The
So there's
African
that.
Drums are
Yes, the drums come back in, and then there's
Doing more workouts.
yeah, totally, and the interplay of like comedy and drama, so good. It's more just that I was holding off because I was like, I don't know what's coming, so that's what it was. I almost went 4.75. There's been a couple times that I've held back, and now I'm starting to question what would be my 5. I think I gave a 5 the time that we met Aidan. And if
Yeah.
I could retroactively do that, I would do 4.75 to that one.
Yeah,
'Cause
I mean, if I
Samantha's
think of
storyline was weird.
My favorite episodes of the whole series. They're not necessarily toward the end. You know,
Yeah.
They're some of the best episodes.
I shouldn't save my 5s then, I think.
Yeah.
Well,
We gave
Spend
a
your 5s.
3-5 to.
I would spend a 5 on this. We can't re-rate ourselves.
No, you can't re-rate. You're forever going to be marked as a 4.5.
I'm the black sheep
You
for
have to
this
live
one.
with that.
Allison,
Okay.
Reddit will know.
Yeah. No, this
Whatever Reddit is.
this episode for me
They
was
know. Like,
All
this
right.
was a clear 5, but I will say I think any episode I watched with Dan I would probably give a 5 just because your excitement and
Very
enthusiasm.
I also would
Like-
probably give every episode a 5.
It's just
I would just
your
say,
excitement
5.
and enthusiasm makes watching the show so much more fun. But I really do think this episode was the complete package. 2 awesome chat and chews, 2 serious storylines, 2 really funny storylines. Like the drama, the tension. It was. I laughed,
Yeah.
cried, I wept, I cheered. It was a perfect.
It
episode.
made us think about contemporary times.
Yeah.
Like,
really.
Well, I think it's safe to say Carrie Bradshaw would have an anxiety attack every day.
Oh my
Yeah,
god.
she got an email and like ducked behind the trench.
Yeah.
It was a great episode. Kevin?
Yeah, I thought the email thing was awesome. I thought the I feel like this probably set the standard for ass eating on television, and that sounds funny, but it's like kind of true.
I don't know. Oz came before this.
Edie Falco.
But I think it's like that. Honestly, like if that was on TV now, I feel like it would be like people talking about it, be like, I can't believe they did it, and this is 20 years ago.
Correct.
It's wild, and to do it in a really funny way, and that moment went on Reddit, whatever Reddit is. On Reddit just the other day, someone was like, pointed that moment out, was like, here's why I love Charlotte.
Yeah.
Because that they just gloss over that real quick, but they're like, that's hilarious.
Yeah.
And the writers knew that. They're like, let's mix it up with her and just like surprise you.
Totally.
And there are moments like that. And then there's moments at the end of movies where you're like, you got to run after him and get him at the airport moment.
Yeah.
And that's just what your soul wants.
Yeah.
And it's like, that's what that was for him to be like, come on down. Like,
Let's give it a shot.
I can't come upstairs. Let's give it a shot. It was like, it was like a 2-hour rom-com with all the right moves, just like in a TV show. I loved it.
Yeah.
And shopping is my cardio.
Yeah.
Just iconic.
Yeah.
And like the sex and you are the characters. Like I was Miranda having that guy's butt in my face. I was Carrie, like telling Aidan I wanted it to work again. I was Charlotte, like having that awkward family dinner. I was Samantha trying to figure out how to get my fake nipples off. Like you just, they have this brilliant way of just making you just be that character for that scene. And I just think it's wonderful and 5 Cosmos.
Miranda, not Cynthia Nixon, Miranda the character. I want you to know. Get into that. Next time, if there's a third movie, it should be her coming around and just being like, I got into it.
I'm in.
That's my thing now.
As the gay person in the room, I can tell you.
Yeah.
It's a very fun area to explore.
Dan, thank you so much.
Thank you so much for coming back.
Your love for this show is so infectious.
It's
The joy
amazing.
that you have for the show.
I mean, it is like such a joy to have people to talk about it.
We are so lucky to have you come on our show again. And discuss this. It's so fun.
Back when Aidan and Big Mud wrestled.
Yes.
Please.
Yeah. That's great. Do it then. One more time, people can find you on Instagram at just Dan Clay.
Dan_Clay.
There we go.
Ladies and gentlemen, Carrie Dragshaw. Thank you for listening to the Bradshaw Boys.
Thank you.
Tell your friends about it so that more people get to follow this beautiful journey with all of us. Thank you so much.
Thank you, everyone.
Thank you.
Bye.
The Bradshaw Boys stars Cory Cavin, Jon Sieber, and Kevin James Doyle. The show is produced by Jeremy L. Balin. For more information on the guys, check out their website at bradshawboys.com, on social media at The Bradshaw Boys, and if you see them in the street, tip your glass. Thanks for listening.